How to instantly build rapport. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to connect instead of tanking human interactions. So do you want to know what rapport is, an approach that you can take to build rapport, and some other cool tools? If so, get ready for some real connection. You've come to the right place. So let's talk about what the definition of rapport is. First of all, rapport is a positive and harmonious relationship characterized by trust, understanding, and respect, where communication flows easily and both parties feel comfortable and connected with each other. This is exactly what we want. I do want to say, and you're just always going to count on me to tell the truth. The rough exterior, John Wayne, old cowboy, like rough exterior, don't let anybody figure you out or know you, hard, gruff exterior is just a shell masking who somebody really is. So it's just fake. It's our ego. It's nothing that to be valued. It's not important. And we've got to break through those false exteriors and have the individual who they truly are and the other individual who they truly are connect and feel safe around each other. That's when you can have collaboration. That's when you can have trust. That's when you can speak up intelligently. That's when everything starts to work. And so there's this pattern that I learned from the book Changeable that I really enjoy that has worked every time when attempting to build rapport, and I'm going to share it with you right now. The author is J. Stuart Ablin, and he's done a really, really great job. When I first read the book, I was like, what is this? And I started yelling at the audiobook, just candidly, because I didn't understand these concepts. I was in a victim mindset thinking they're the enemy, you know, like let's fight, you know, whatever. But and he mentions in there people who might have experienced trauma, prisoners, medical patients, like a lot of different categories of people, and how there's a better way, and it's called the collaborative problem-solving method. So let's go through that right now. Number one, when you get into a situation, whether it's a foreman or a worker or another team member or any of the categories that he talks about in the book, the first step is to connect with empathy. Now, empathy does not mean you have to walk in pain in the person's shoes for a mile. It doesn't mean that. It means that you believe and listen to their experience about their walking in their shoes for a mile, right? And Brene Brown is a really, really great resource for these things. And so listening with intent and actually caring about what somebody says is the first step. You remember Stephen Covey said that listening is like oxygen in a room. If you take the oxygen out of a room, like I'm not going to record this video, I'm not going to pay attention, I'm not going to do anything but run outside and get oxygen so I can breathe. Nothing else can happen until that is fulfilled. So listening and connecting with empathy is step number one, and it will start to disarm the person that you're talking to. Number two, define the problem. And this is great. And by the way, you can connect with rapport in easy situations. I'm talking about right now when it might be difficult. So if you have a difficult situation, even if somebody's angry or yelling or feeling triggered or just like really on one and has this energy, it may even be dangerous, right? If it's safe to stay, first you connect with empathy, second you define the problem. So it's really quite fantastic if you're like, oh my gosh, okay, if I'm hearing you right, ... Okay, so the problem seems to be A, B, C, and D. And then they, again, a second time, hear you listening and defining the problem and really understanding them, which will continue to disarm and diffuse the situation. Step number three is key. This is what I really, really love. And in fact, you can use this at work, you can use this in your marriage, you can use this wherever you want. But step number three is to collaboratively problem solve and find the win-win. You know, like for instance, if you were talking to your child about going to school, you could use the hard-nosed, get your butt to school, I'm going to spank you, whatever, totally fine, do your thing, you're in charge. But you could also say, hey, the situation is we've got to go to school. How can we make sure that your needs are met as well as the requirements that we have set in the parameters of this example, right? Or in this situation. And so collaboratively problem solving is really, really key. And if you get a couple of no's along the way, it's not a big deal. Just like in the book, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, he says to make sure that you don't get too triggered when you receive a no. A no is just a faster way to a yes, because there are false yeses, they are non-committal yeses, and then there's real yeses. So if you get no's, not a big deal. Keep collaboratively problem solving. And the idea here is by following these steps, you should be able to get to a point where the person feels listened to, knows that you understand the situation, and they know that you care about their situation, but it's also within the context of the legal or authority or circumstantial requirements of the situation, meaning that we're finding the win-win, not a win for the requirements and a lose for them. You're collaboratively problem solving. And most of the time, you can really get to a good spot when that happens if you follow step 1, 2, and 3. I highly recommend that you read the book, but if you follow that, and I see this a lot when we are dealing with workers. So you could literally go up and talk to them and listen to their circumstances, ask some questions, and literally say, okay, if I understand your problem, this is this, and then literally go through and find a solution. With the foreman as well, they're probably sometimes going to be grumpy in your huddles. That's not a big deal. With your team, with clients, with customers, this is a really great way to connect and build rapport. Here's some other tips and techniques that you can implement to build rapport. Just like liking and subscribing and commenting and messaging me down below on this channel really builds rapport with us, right? There are other techniques that you can use in a real-time situation. So the first would be mirroring, and that's where, like, if they're in a certain state or speaking a certain way, you can mirror and match their tone, match their expressions, match how they are positioning their body. People like people that are like them. So mirroring isn't a form of manipulation, it's simply there to make the other person feel calm. Genuine compliments is another one that I really like. Yes, we give feedback for improvement when it's needed, but in heightened situations where we need to build rapport, really telling that person what you appreciate about them and that you really see who they are can do a lot to build trust and help build that rapport. Finding common ground is another great one where you showcase that you understand their situation, right? You might even explain how your situation might be a little bit similar. Again, I have to keep anchoring us back to this concept. People like people that they're like. People like people that they know. People like people that they're near, and people like people that they understand. So making sure that you have common ground can go a long way in developing rapport. Obviously, smile and make eye contact. People really start to build trust and rapport with somebody who's in connection. Now, if they don't feel comfortable, maybe you mirror their behavior, but make sure that you are trustworthy with your body language and that you are connected. As you go, validate their concerns. You might not support or encourage or sign off on behavior, but you can validate even if it's like, I believe that's your experience. That is really hard. If you say that, that's not necessarily signing off or condoning where they're going with it or their thought process, because these are just thoughts, but you are 100% helping that person to feel validated. And always remember that you may be talking to this person's ego. So when people get triggered and in bad situations, you're not talking to their true selves, you're talking to their ego, which is there designed biologically and from an evolutionary standpoint to keep them safe. So calming their fears, addressing their concerns, making sure that they feel validated for future implications is the key. Then they can calm down and get present and really feel like there's a path forward for these situations. But the bottom line is, rapport comes from true and real connection, and it takes some effort. Please don't get triggered yourself and start a fight. Please don't escalate it unless you absolutely have to, like if there's physical violence. And please don't dismiss the concerns of the other person, because even if you don't think it's real and it is just a thought, it's real to them. Because all of us as humans, we will have thoughts that we think are us and that really trigger us. We can all get into what's called a pain body, where your ego is taken over and you feel biological pain, which is keeping you in a bad situation. And we all have legitimate concerns and fears. So if you can address those and make the person feel comfortable, you can get to the bottom of it and create real connection and real rapport. Now, this also works with good situations, right? So if you want to be in a good situation, connect with them with empathy, right? Make sure they know you're listening and be present. And also help them find the win-win by being a go-giver. So this pattern works wherever we try it. And in the description below, I love this so much, I'm going to give you a blog post that covers it. And I want to recommend 2 books. 1, The Power of Now. Number 2, A New Earth, which talks about how to manage your ego. Actually, I'm going to add another one, a third one, changeable, which is great from a concept of how you can create real rapport and connection and change somebody's state for the better and start to partner with that other human being. So I hope that this has helped you in whatever relationship you need it. On we go.